we're all here. The gang's all here. How's it going, everybody? You are tuning into Cellar Nightly. We're probably on your YouTube right now. And my name is Sean Donnelly. I am your host for the evening. That's a big stretch there. I never do that. And we're joined with some very, very funny comedians. I also call friends. First off, we'll go ladies first. Allie Kolbert, ladies and gentlemen. Allie, how are you?
Hi.
You know,
Hi,
Allie,
gentlemen.
Apparently,
Hello,
you know her
Allie.
from her spinoff of Cheers that's going on right behind us. And then we have my pal, my shaved head friend, my Connecticut brother, Mike Finoia, ladies and gentlemen. Mike, how are you, buddy? Good to see you.
Hi, Sean. It's good to see you,
What's
pal.
up, Mike?
Hi, everybody.
Right before you started, Mike, we both cracked a can. Mike cracked a Guinness. I cracked a Canada Dry, like my dad from 20 years ago.
It is a Monday, Sean.
It is a Monday, exactly. I'm trying to be nice, be good here. Last but not least, very funny gentleman, Rick Crom, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, everybody. Hello.
The voice of the Comedy Cellar.
Voice of the Comedy Cellar, Rick
Comedy
Crom.
Cellar, the best damn comedy room in town, featuring the stars of the David Letterman show. See?
That sounds amazing. Yeah,
That's me.
It'd be funny. It'd be good if we should have you during today's show do like people, they could type in on the chat and then Mike let us know like perverted things to say in the Comedy Cellar voice.
Oh,
right?
yes,
Mike could tell us because he has the chat.
Oh, yeah,
and we could have, and then he could send it to Rick, and Rick could say, really think of the most perverted things Rick could say in that voice. And I know you'll do it, right? Will you do it? Yeah.
I probably said most of them already.
They're probably in most of your songs.
I've heard my songs are part of a police report somewhere.
Oh God.
How long ago did you record those, Rick? When you were when did you become the voice of the club? That was played.
Oh my God. Well, I think, I think the first time we started doing the live recordings was around 1990 or something like that, because we had, we had that booth built in around 1990 or 91 because I did a show there. I did a little musical comedy review down at the Comedy Cellar, and we built where the sound booth is now. That wasn't there before. All the controls were right next to the piano, and but there was no.
It was fairly early on that they had the recordings like starting the show. They had those as well.
Yeah, we moved to that because usually I would do the intro to the show live.
Oh, right.
No
okay.
way.
Yeah.
I'd be at the piano and I go, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your host, whoever it was. And usually it was Bill Grunfest, but then I was like, welcome your host, Sean Donnelly, and I'd play the piano and sidekick and stuff like that. Or sometimes if I was just hosting myself, I get at the piano and then I'd say, welcome your host. Here he is, Rick Crom, and then I'd get up and go, it's me, and then.
Wow.
But once we got that booth built, we put the tape deck in there, and then it dawned on us, we could do when there was no sidekick, we could do pre-taped intros. So I recorded a bunch then, and I've probably had 3 or 4 different sessions over the years where I've recorded all the current hosts.
3 or 4 different iterations of the announcements.
The music used to be different. I forget what it was. But then Keith Robinson suggested we do the stuff we have now, that Marvin Gaye intro.
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. The first show, great. I remember the first show I ever did at the Cellar I was hosting. It was a Sunday night at 11:30, and hearing that music, it's like coming out of the tunnel for your first show. It's like, oh shit. And I'm like, do they have my name in already? And then it's like, please welcome your host for this evening. This is like this generic.
That's the default.
Like, oh, hey, what's up? That's me.
No, but I usually have. I guess I have to do a lot more now because we have all new hosts. Do you have one, Sean?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, you might have been the last batch I did.
Probably, yeah. Well, the interesting part is that it works really well. Like, it's the only thing that I've seen at a club in the city that gets, because there's a lot of psychology to starting a show. Like, you can't just start a show. There has to be some kind of buffer that goes, hey, it's showtime. Some people flick the lights, Broadway or whatever. But with comedy, that actually works because it puts people into that mindset. Like, it's interrupting any conversations, but not in a way that's angry at all. Just a way that's like, hey, you ready? And the music's right away, right in your face. Let's start the show. Because the amount of times The amount of times I've done shows like at other clubs, like I won't host anywhere else anymore. Once I got past there, I won't host anywhere. I just, because I've done a lot of it and I just whatever. But a lot of places don't do it, and they literally the only thing to start the show is the host clapping and going, all right, let's go.
Yeah,
and that's
walking
really,
on, talking to the crowd.
It's so
Yeah, that
sloppy.
sucks.
It's really ineffective. Yeah.
It's old-fashioned show business in the sense that, you'd have an overture and then, or those TV shows, every TV show when I was growing up, a variety show, there'd be like, welcome to the so-and-so show. And here is, Andy Williams or whoever it was. And so it was easy enough to do. You're right, Sean. It's the psychology. The audience goes, oh, now it's a show.
Now it's time. Yeah. Now I shut up.
And now it's formal.
Oh, I want to take.
One, two,
here we go.
One,
hey, what's up? There he is.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Formal.
Hey, man.
Hey, Damien Lemon is now here. Wow, look at this. Look at this Hollywood star showing up.
Wait a minute,
I can't even hear y'all though.
And now joining us is
Can you hear us?
Damien Lemon.
Turn on your audio,
What's on my audio?
Damien. Turn on your audio.
Yourself.
Unmute yourself. There.
I wish I could
no,
write
you
him a
muted
note.
yourself. You got all that cash behind you, and you can't figure out. He just turned off his video. Damien Lemon does not know technology,
Damn.
everybody. Yeah.
Do you hear us?
Damien, can you hear us? Maybe it's something with his headphones.
Here, I'm going to write him a note.
Let me ask you this, Allie, are you still in Los Angeles?
I am in New York City.
You came back. Last time I was on the comedy Cellar Nightly with you.
Back on the East Coast. Back on the East Coast for 3 weeks now. Basically, I left, I think, like the day after we did the last one.
Well, now everything in California is going. The numbers are going crazy. I think.
Yeah.
The second I left, they went out of control.
How the fuck do I?
Somebody
Can you
text
see that?
Damien.
I don't know his number. That's why I'm saying unmute.
Is this a bit that he's doing?
But
Looking at us or
I
past
heard
us.
him say "fuck." Did anyone else?
I hear him. He can't.
I hear him.
us.
He can't hear us. Do your headphones or something. Your headphones.
Unmute. I wish I
Try
knew.
your headphones. Unplug them. Plug them back in or something. Yeah. Yeah. All the numbers are going crazy in LA. My sister wants to move back to New York.
Yeah, New York and Connecticut are a few states that are going down. Damien, can you hear us? No.
Jersey too.
Yeah. Just restart. I'm gonna have him restart it. Hold on. Or you know what, Mike? Can you text them and tell them to restart? I can't text.
I gotta see
him.
if I have his number in here.
I have his number. If you have his number, just text him. But
If any of our viewers have Damien's number,
yeah, please,
Right.
please
text them and tell
put
them
it in
to
the
unmute
chat
it.
right now. Put his.
He's gone again. He'll figure. Let's
Yo.
just write him a
Do we
note
See
to
how many
unmute.
people are on this video with us? Do we see that?
I don't know.
You can see it on YouTube if you look on YouTube.
1 2 1 2.
Now it's
Unmute
just his voice.
your
And now it's the
phone.
ghost
I'm writing
of
him a
Damien
note.
Lemon.
I'm writing him a note.
Write me the note. I'm shit. Hold on a second. I'm coming back.
Do you hear us?
Now he
Yeah,
hears
I
you.
can hear you now. I couldn't hear you for 2 seconds. Hold
Okay,
on.
so now you should see a picture of a camera with. There you go. Can
Yeah,
you hear
but
us?
my thing is, I set this shit up so I can hear it in the headphones. Like I got these fucking headphones. Okay, I guess I hear it now. Actually, I'm bugging. I feel like Teddy Riley right now. God damn. And I did a sound check for this shit. This
What's
is the
up,
worst.
man?
What's
You did a-
cracking with y'all?
Who'd you
doing,
do a
buddy?
sound check? Is that why you were late? Because you're doing sound check?
I did a sound check earlier. I thought I was good. That I came in with the audio disconnected, looking stupid.
You can't do it.
Anyway, what's
Hey,
going on?
if your sound doesn't work by yourself, it's not going to work.
Right.
Damien, where are you?
I'm at the crib. I'm chilling.
He's
Where
in
y'all
New
at?
York. Everybody's in New York then, I guess.
I'm in New York. Yeah, everybody's
we
in
can-
New Oh.
We could all pat ourselves in the back because New York is, they say,
Yeah.
the exemplary state is New York.
We did good. We followed the rules, and now we get a gold star.
We get a gold star. Absolutely, Rick. I think that's very exciting.
Hey,
That's
Sean.
Yes.
You did a show this weekend, huh?
I did a show this weekend, and I got to be honest, man. I did the first show I did back in quarantine was Jay Nog does the Storia drive-in show, and I didn't prepare enough for that, and I really didn't get the right headset and half the mindset, and half the set went pretty good, and half of it just went to shit. Like that was not a good experience. So I was really anxious about the show I did this weekend in Pennsylvania, but it actually turned out amazing. Like I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. I'm
But
nervous.
you know what it is this. I think people are dying for stuff to do. So It's this guy Soul Joel. You know Soul Joel.
Yeah.
He has a club in Royersford, Pennsylvania, and right now they're doing outside shows right now. And the setup is he has these like square setups. Everybody's socially distanced from each other, and they bring their own coolers and their own drinks and stuff like that. It's like an outdoor thing, and then he has a stage set up. Now, I thought it was going to be kind of a disaster. I wasn't sure, but I think everybody's so chomping at the bit to have a good time and have human contact that it worked out really well. And it was a good show. Like I had fun and I was doing well and whatever. But I mean, like overall, I think it's that people are like, they were so miserable inside. They're like, I just want to be around people. It just proves people want human contact. I don't know how even people that pretend like I know a lot of people are introverts and they go, I'm inside all day. I love it. It's like bullshit. People love people. You need people.
I go crazy. I go crazy if I'm, and it's been a chance. Thank God for Zoom. This is like the only human contact you have.
Yeah, absolutely.
I remember frequently saying, I have to go out and be with people or what's going on inside my head right now is going to destroy me.
Yeah, that's the worst thing for us. I have 2 shows this Saturday at Fairfield Comedy Club. I'm doing outside. This is the first time I'm doing stand-up since like March 12th.
Yeah.
Oh
I don't have a clue
terrifying.
what the hell I have. I'm like, I got to remember how to talk in front of people. I've talked to like 4 people in the past 6 months or whatever. How the hell?
Is everyone just joking about?
I have no idea what I'm gonna do. I do old stuff. Do I do new
about
shit?
The old stuff is like weird. It's like,
well, I got it. Yeah.
It's like the opposite of topical. It's like from another planet almost by now.
I used to think that because I did a couple of those Zoom shows and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna talk about my quarantine. I had a couple of things written down about quarantine and about COVID. And then I did them, and I spoke to a woman that went to the show after, she watched it on her computer, and I was like, hey, did you like it? And she was like, I did. I loved it, but she said, I got to be honest, a lot of us were watching it to kind of get our minds off quarantine, and all you guys were talking about was quarantine. And I agreed, but I was also like, yeah, but that's all that's going on. Like, what do you want else? What else?
Yeah, what parallel world do you live in where there's like no? You're like, well, yeah, let me tell you about the land I live on, and it's
the world has changed. Like that's just what's going on. But I actually took the note to heart, and when I went to Soul Joel's, I talked about it for the first 5 minutes, and then I kind of tried to like either I talked to them, and then or I did old jokes, but tried to make them seem like they were newer. Like I was like, bringing like doing an intro, be like, I'm cooped up, I got it, and then bringing up whatever old joke just to make it sound fresher in my head or something.
Everybody now has a COVID hunk for those Zoom shows.
Yeah.
Like a 2 minutes of isolation jokes, because it's just natural. You just want to acknowledge what's going on, but now it's becoming kind of hackneyed because how many different observations are there? You say I masturbated and I ate. How many of those jokes can you hear?
Yeah, right, exactly. It's going to be.
Then you got to peel the onion further to say, what else about it?
I think a good exercise would be like you're writing jokes about quarantine, but you take off the quarantine part. So it's just you did just you're getting into it a different way would be really hard. Because I think there's going to be a leeway thing. Like when people are mentioning, like it's such a shared experience. If you're mentioning COVID in any joke, already you're getting it's like a red carpet or a greased wheel to a laugh because they're like, oh, I know I'm so relating to that right now because we're all going through the same thing.
Sure.
Yeah. Right. The psychological elements of it.
Have you guys done any shows, Allie or Damien? Have you guys done anything?
I did a Zoom show that was a horrible.
Oh, I did
experience.
One with you.
Oh, it was with you. That was horrible. No, I'm joking. It was a different.
It really was.
But like that one, I hated. Like, what was the point of that?
There were so many people, and it was like the thing. I got asked to do a one for the census. They were raising awareness for the census. It was a bunch of bands and a comic, and I was like, I don't know. And they were like, instead of doing a set, I just gave them a video, like a 10-minute video from an old show, and was like, here, just play this if you want to. Like, I don't know.
Is that what you did?
Yeah.
I just gave him an old set. And when I did an intro, well, all the bands I listened to were playing old concerts from the past. I go, hey, here's this video, 10-minute set from Gotham Comedy Club. Enjoy. And they just played it. And it was actually kind of interesting because it was like a good video and good audio.
That's hilarious.
And it was actual comedy. It wasn't me going, hey, your cat's sitting on your, your wife's face or whatever. Like some weird, like,
you should have gave it some commentary. Like
I did a little
okay
up front, like kind of.
You like that should have got more right there. I don't know why they ain't get that much.
I show up in the corner. Now that joke was supposed to be.
Yeah, that's some bullshit there. They should have laughed harder.
That's where they dropped the drink. Yes.
I did a show like that. That was what you just said, but it was for old stand-up videos. So you would show, they were doing a show where you would show an old one and then you're commenting on it as you're going and saying like exactly what you just said, Damien. Like that should have gotten more. Right. I was terrified of that. Like all that stuff. Court
TV, your own set.
Yeah.
I'm finding that some of the little student shows I'm producing or whatever, that I've been saying, looking at how people are performing within the window, and doing it almost like a theatrical monologue to the camera. So you do your joke, and I noticed that Kolbert does this too, and it seems to work fine. You do your talk and all that, and then you stay in whatever the emotion of the bit you just told for a second, and then you move on to the next one. But you stay within the parameters, so it's much smaller. I think it starts to really look bad if you start to look for the laughs or try to hear the laughs.
Yeah, no, I think
so just stay within that window, bring it down small. Then it's really entertaining to listen to at home, especially if you don't have to have 30 people trying to laugh at the same time and having the audio go all fucked up.
Yeah, there's a certain amount.
I muted everybody else's audio, let the performer go, and it works. It works, and then afterwards everybody applauds. And
I've done shows that I think they unmute a certain portion of the crowd, so you're getting a couple of laughs in there. So, but it doesn't overwhelm the system where you can't hear the person, and that kind of works. So
that's good too. Yeah, 8 or 10 people maybe.
Yeah, and then there's that like millisecond of like gap that throws you off too.
That's why you have to stay in the emotion of the bit.
Yeah, you just got to hang there.
You got to stay. You got to just stay in it. And make that funny face thinking about what you just said.
So you got to do how many shows you have to do in Connecticut, 2. Mike? You got to do 2 40 minutes.
Outside,
I'll tell you, man. Like I was really. This is obviously the longest I've gone since I started, and it was in my head completely. But once I got going. And I don't want to lie. I had a shot before I went up. I had one shot before I went up just to ease the tension a little bit. But once I got going, I went right back into it. And because they were so good, I think they're going to be good. Like it's like that kind of thing. People are they want something, and it kind of helps. Everybody's in the same boat because they're like, I'm relating to you so much more up there and what you're talking about.
Yes, they're not. How they were spoiled by the overchoice. They go to any comedy club anytime. They sit there like, I've heard better.
They're like,
I think
we
you're
could go to our living room, or we could go to our dining room, or we can go to this comedy club.
Right.
Now I think you're right, Rick.
Yeah. It's like, remember when you go and you play the road, you go play this podunk town, and you're killing, and you go, well, I know the stuff isn't that good, but they're just starved for any entertainment.
They're just staring at a wall for
watch
the
the tractor.
And then they thank you for showing up afterwards. You ever get down on the road? They go, thank you for coming. And you go, what are you talking about?
Well, that's my question. How do you avoid the meet and greet? Because it's all good. We feel good that they want to meet you, but we got social distance out here. How do you play that without looking like a dickhead?
I after the show of the weekend, I there was no shaking hands. I stood about 6 feet from them, talked to them for a couple minutes apiece, and then said goodbye. But it's funny because you're not ego, but you're the same thing where you're like, well, I want to talk to them and thank them for coming out because of how excited I was to do a show where I actually had fun.
Right. Just hit them with some head nods.
Head nods.
Yeah, just talk and have the mask on and stuff like that. It's like it kind of works, but it's not as intimate as you'd like, but it kind of works, You
could park right behind the stage, and the minute you get off, just run right into your car, just right into the back seat of your own car.
Yeah, exactly.
Did the crowd have masks? They were all wearing masks?
No, I'm saying afterwards.
Oh, okay.
No, I was the crowd. I was about 15 feet from the crowd. The closest person was like far.
Right.
Isn't that so awkward in and of itself, just being so far from them? Like,
yes.
What's the normally point? Like, let's just quit this. What are we doing?
Yeah, normally
go start a family. What the fuck are we doing?
I'm thinking about that too. The thing I like about comedy, the thing I like the most about doing comedy is air conditioning. I think I'm not looking forward to being outside in the middle of July in a heat wave, sweating through t-shirts. Kind
of like outdoor dinner theater where you sing a song and get a bug in your throat.
Dude, eating. Have you guys done any of the eating outside at restaurants right now? Have any of you gone and sit outside at a place and ate?
I did it once and I panicked.
Did you really?
It was in Connecticut though, so our numbers are really good there. But it was uncomfortable the whole time. I was like, our waitress is sick, she's gonna pass out. It wasn't good. I didn't feel good. It's not necessary.
Did the waitress have a mask?
She had a mask, but she was I could tell she was like hot under there and she couldn't remember stuff. And I was like, she sweat. It was just a fucking mess.
Jesus.
I went to an outdoor restaurant in Connecticut too. And I sat down at the table and I watched them. Like I called from the parking lot and was like, what are you guys doing to like clean whatever? And they're like, we're wiping everything down. We're wiping the umbrella stand down, the chairs, the tables. I walk in, I got gloves and a mask and I sit down. And I'm looking at everybody else at the other tables and I'm like, they're all sick. They all have, if one person sneezes, I'm going to flip their fucking table. Yeah. Like I was freaking out. They brought me a beer and I'm looking around and I took a sip of the beer and I like shot beer into my own nose. So I like snarfed back into my beer and shot it all over the place, dude. It went it was like high tide to other tables. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I had beer dripping down my face. My wife just got up and went to another table. She's like, I don't even want to sit with you.
You're like, you show up. You're like, look at these idiots. And then you did that.
And I was the idiot.
What restaurant what food was it, Mike?
It was like a bar. It was like just
Allie, look at him. What do you think it was?
It was good. Yeah, spent $8 pint of beer and a burger with 4 different types of bacon.
McDonald's.
Where is he going besides gastropubs, Allie? When is that happening?
But it sucks eating outside. Comedy's got to be. It must be hot as shit after 40 minutes.
Mike's not going to a 5-star French restaurant, and he's going to a place with a wing special. That's exactly where he's going.
Is the Cellar still on McDougal Street? I know they had some tables open.
Outside. I was there last week. It was fun because a bunch of people came down and hung out and socially distanced and chilled out and had like a drink. And I'll tell you, the area is ominous. It was fun hanging out, but Manhattan itself is like Warriors level. You ever watch The Warriors? Like it's like that level of like weird. It's like going back to like 1990s Manhattan. Everything like it was people on the streets, but it still seemed desolate, if that makes sense. Like I got at one point I was putting my mask on and some guy elbowed my arm was up and I don't know if he was a homeless dude, I don't know what he was, elbowed my elbow into my head. And I was like, and then I just looked at him weirdly and I just watched him walk over to the corner by wherever where Cafe Y is, whatever. And he turned around and looked right at me. And I looked at him like, I'm not going to start a fight with you. You'll stab me. I know how this ends. Like, I'm not going to be in the newspaper tomorrow. That's not happening, Yeah,
it's no man's land right now.
Yeah, the craziest.
May the best man win. You could take over New York if you go hard enough.
Yeah.
Take the whole city over.
It's going to get to a point. It's just like Mike Vecchione in a car going, Warriors, come out and play, Warriors.
Just switchblade fights on the L train.
But that's the other thing. Like the more alerts I get that are like somebody got stabbed at 9 a.m. on the 7 train, I'm always like, oh, well, I don't want to go on the train anymore. That's not a thing I want to do now. And I'm with Allie. Like I'm like, I'll just have a baby. I'll just find a baby and adopt it, and then live in the woods somewhere.
Allie, you about to have a baby?
No, I'm just saying in general. I'll just find a baby.
Have a baby just for the content, likes.
Just for the pilot.
for the internet points. I'm gonna have a baby.
Internet baby.
But
if the baby don't get no likes, it wasn't really worth it, was it?
No, it's not I think some people have their babies just to kind of help their comedy, pretty much. I think that happens sometimes. You're like, I got it, or marriages. Who knows? I don't even know. But that's always an age-old thing where it's like you're in a relationship and you get to the last point, you're like, well, we either get divorced or we have a baby. What happens here?
Right.
That kind of thing,
Yeah.
There's a lot of that going on right now.
Yeah,
well, it's crazy. I know of multiple relationships that broke up because of quarantine.
Yeah.
Really?
Like marriages?
Yep. Well, no, one was an engagement, and I heard of a couple of relationships that people living together that were. I'll tell you this much, but I think the opposite should be true too. I think if you're in a relationship and you guys are living together towards now, and you've been okay, you should get married when this is done, because you're not going to find anybody on this planet that you get along with enough to get through a thing like this.
Especially
like,
two
like and a half.
Like tandem 4-month panic attacks too, like this. It's like this is like a reality show for relationships. This pandemic.
Yeah, that's
it's
what
like
I mean.
Lock yourself in a house with someone that you are gonna cry in front of and try to fuck.
Yeah,
There's
it's
no
also
way
a
that
thing where everybody. I think everybody. It's so weird. We're having such a shared experience, but I think everybody thinks that it's only happening to them. Like where it's like I have to examine some things, and then you talk to people, they're like, oh yeah, I thought the same exact thing. Like
I'm
everybody
normal.
I know has been like, oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do, and for us especially because our industry is turned on its head. Like nobody knows what'll shake out of it. Like it's not just gonna be. I think when this is done, what do you guys think is going to happen to comedy? Like, what do you think? You think there'll be less clubs, less comics, less,
Yes, initially, I think there's going to be less clubs because a lot of people can't pay the rent, and then less comedy. But it'll recover. I think within a year of a vaccine, it'll start recovering. But there will be a huge exodus of people from the industry. And you know what? Frankly, we have too many comedians anyway.
I know. I hope a lot of comedians die.
So, we could I don't want them to die, Allie.
Well, that's not what he said, Allie, but
that's what I'm saying.
Oh.
Well, what's funny is everybody thinks about the crowd. Everybody thinks about the crowd. No one's thinking about the comic on stage. It's like a firing line. Like you're standing there with 100 people breathing in your direction. You got nothing but a brick wall behind you.
Well, a lot of these places.
It's mental illness. We're sick.
Well,
I don't know what we're doing.
We're a bunch of dented cans.
they're putting the plastic up in front of everybody,
The reverse Gallagher.
The reverse Gallagher. Yeah, exactly. So it's like hanging plastic. They have it at the Cellar right now where it's like hanging a sheet of plastic. So you're not in any danger of the crowd breathing on you at all. And they're also far enough away. It's like, that's what it's going to come down to. The numbers in New York, if it keeps going down, who knows after this weekend? Because you have everybody and their mother at the beach this weekend. But
oh yeah,
if the numbers go down enough, New York will be safe enough, at least for New Yorkers, where you can do stuff,
Like a COVID filter.
A face mask.
Plastic.
With a straw with a hole for your straw.
A face mask with a hole for your straw. I've seen something like that.
That closes up. I saw take it out and it closes up, like a latch.
Yeah. I saw one that was a lady. Lady had a hole for her cigarette through her mask, so she just had.
God.
So it was a little tiny hole that they stuck the cigarette in. She could smoke the cigarette.
She thought that shit was cool in a motherfucker too.
So she burned her mask.
I saw a guy with his mask on, and he was about to sneeze, so he took it down. I was like, "No, dude."
Right.
Saw that too.
That's like I'm about to come. Let me take the condom off.
Right.
What is that? Stop.
I feel like the more I hear Allie talk, I feel like you're going through a crisis of self. The more I hear you talk,
I'm going through a crisis of self.
Yeah, I don't know. You sound like it. Do you think you're at a crossroads here? What do you think is going to happen?
I just always feel I've been waiting for comedy to get shut down for a while. So
you don't.
3 years she's been waiting.
Since your first time you started, I think, right?
Every night I went to sleep and was like, I hope they shut these clubs down.
Holy shit.
You're like, this is my last show. Good night.
Allie, let me ask you this. What would you do, Allie, if you did not do comedy? Like stand up, but you had to get out of the show business altogether. Would you have a backup plan? Would you be a lawyer or
fuck, I don't know. I mean, I would like to write in some capacity. If I could still write on like a show and like create something funny without performing, I could
show business is gone. You could write.
Show business is gone.
Yeah.
So I would be a really funny English teacher.
Mrs. Kolbert.
Yeah, I would just like try and
Mrs. K.
I would just try and make that my thing. I don't know. What would you guys do? Nothing.
I don't know.
I would drive a truck on landscape.
What about you, Damien? What would you do?
I really don't know. I've been thinking about it. I don't know. I realized from being a comedian, I don't really like working. That's the beauty of, to be totally honest with you.
I hate working.
Word. What are y'all doing during the day? Like, what's your day looking like now that there's no comedy? Like, what do you fill these hours with?
There'll be some random tapings of podcasts, or maybe a lot of it's watching stuff on Netflix,
right.
Starting multiple books but not finishing them, like stuff like that. And then and I also, it's not day time, but I've been cooking basic. I never cooked at all before this, like at all. Like, and now I'm cooking basic stuff. So I'm actually getting something out of it. Like, because I used to go to this bagel store and get eggs every day and just pay for them. And now I'm making my own eggs and chicken and chicken cutlets and steak and burger, like, just basic stuff. But before this, I was always out and you get pizza or get something at the Cellar or whatever it is. So I never ever cooked, you know.
Sean, I like when you post pictures of the food you cook because it reminds me of like when my dad had to cook. It's just like it's like 3 like almost cooked potatoes with like an egg that broke and the yolk is all over the place. Like 1 piece of toast.
I don't know what meal that is. I don't know.
You go food. It just is food. No, you posted one breakfast and it cracked me up. I love it.
I make good eggs. Shut the fuck up, Finoia.
Shut up. I'm breaking balls.
Shut the fuck up about my eggs.
Shut the fuck up about my eggs. I've worked very hard. I've watched multiple YouTube videos about eggs. If you look at my YouTube history,
Mike wouldn't go to any good restaurant. You're like, your eggs look like shit. He's like, shut the fuck
up. Fuck you and your fucking eggs. What are you doing, Damien? Are you doing anything fun during the day or nothing?
Shit. A lot of the same shit Sean's doing. Watching a lot of TV, watching a lot of YouTube, cooking shit. I cooked some. I'm trying to recreate everything I used to pay for. You know what I mean? Like if I was going to buy curry chicken from the Jamaican spot, I'm trying to learn how to make that.
Oh, wow.
You know? There's
curry. I saw you. What about like jerk chicken too, or no?
I've done jerk chicken. It's close. It's not, you know what I mean? It's Jamaican. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm trying, but we on our way.
Jerk chicken is. My taste buds are not mature enough to handle jerk chicken. I'll tell you. Right
you gotta go hard.
Real jerk chicken makes me sweat from like every single pore. It looks like I look like a lawnmower.
Fire.
That's how Mike lost his hair.
I did. Yeah, I went to Jamaica too young.
Oh shit! What you doing, Mike?
I'm playing with my dog a lot. My wife's a nurse, so she's in the hospital in the intensive care. So it's gotten much chiller now. In the beginning of this thing, dude, I mean, I was just like building, like a fort to stay away from her. When she'd come home, I'd just like roll like garlic at her and shit just to keep her away from me. But now it's like
a vampire situation.
Yeah.
Did y'all have to quarantine from each other though?
Yeah. She was in one bedroom. I was in one bedroom. She was in one bathroom. Like when she got home, she'd have to take off like all her scrubs and her like work shoes and shit, leave it in a bag in the boiler room and shower, then throw everything in the laundry. And she wore a mask in the house for like 2 months.
Wow.
It was like, it was hardcore. Every single like bed in the hospital was filled with COVID patients, but now it's like, I think they maybe have like 2 or 3 cases or something like that. So,
wow. That's great.
It's much more chill now, which is nice. So we can at least, hang out together and shit.
We've come a long way, baby.
We sure have. And I hope we stay.
And how do we do that? Rest of the country that's listening?
Social distance.
And Rick, are you doing virtual comedy classes?
No, I am. I've been lucky. I'm doing 4 or 5 classes a week.
That's great.
Yes, we're doing. Usually I'd have 10 people in a class, but now it's like 6 or 7. But oddly enough, there are people with a lot of time on their hands now who want to learn how to structure and write jokes and just the basics and stuff. And so I've been able to teach on Saturday and Sunday afternoons and Thursday and Mondays and Tuesdays and Thursdays. So
wow.
So
do you find it's pretty much the same as far as the classes part goes? It might be different.
Yes. Yeah, it's the same. I'm actually teaching a class from a group of people from South Africa.
Really?
I taught this afternoon. They're 7:00 in the evening their time, 1:00 in the afternoon my time. Yeah, you know what I find with this Zoom thing? I have some tools that I don't have in a live class. In terms of people can send me their stuff in a Google Doc, and I have them formatted in a way which is like you write to the end of the line, you skip a space, right to skip it. And then I can do the share screen thing and show them how to move things around and what becomes the premise, what becomes the what becomes the setup and the punch, and then what becomes the sub premise, all of that stuff. And so the actual academic work of writing material is the same with some enhancements.
So the only difference would be like the final show for the class would be online.
That's what I'm saying. And so I'm directing people to to play within the frame like they're talking to one person and stay in the emotion of the bit. Right. And it seems to be successful. So
are these students like people who ambition to do stand-up after quarantine?
I would say very few of them.
Okay.
I would say mostly it's people who are curious about it. Maybe 2 out of every 10 people would like to go and do mics and maybe see if they can take it to the next level. But it's like anything. We have a lot of lawyers and people who talk in front of crowds for a living, and they just want to learn a few communication skills that we use in stand-up. So, but everybody has a dream of being a great comedian. Then they realize how much work it is, and then maybe they decide, I'd rather have a house and a family.
Yeah.
Rather than
right.
But you take an acting class, you take a pottery class, you take a class in something just because you're curious. How many people do that? And I happen to enjoy teaching very much, so it's nice to see just the regular civilians suddenly have progress at something. They have no idea what they're doing until I give them some structure. So that's fun, and it's useful in any profession they have. So
I'll tell you what's been pretty weird. I think one of the hardest things about getting used to, and I don't know about you guys, but like 10 o'clock being like, oh, it's fucking late.
Oh,
it's
see,
like
I have
10,
the opposite.
10:30,
I've been staying up late.
Really?
When it's 5 o'clock, I'm like, time for pajamas. What are you talking about?
Oh yeah,
it's weird.
You're an
it's
early person.
Well, now I am, because before I was like,
what time do you wake up?
My dog gets me up at like 7:30.
Oh yeah,
and then we like, whatever, go for a long walk. She shits a couple times. I feed her, and then I go back to
Thanks
bed.
for that. Yeah, right.
There you go.
I hate how you talk about your wife, Mike.
She needs to walk to loosen up her shit.
There you go.
This is gonna sound so bad. I've been staying up like late till like 3 a.m, and it's because it's gonna sound awful, of TikTok. That's why I've just been scrolling through. I have TikTok because I'm like, I thought I needed to get it because of comedy. I posted like 4 videos, like stand-up videos on it. It got whatever amount of views, but it's addictive to scan through TikTok, and it's so dumb. I'm not recommending anybody do this, but some of them are actually funny. So when it's almost like scratch offs. Like if you ever do scratch offs and then you win $10 on one, and you're like, let me keep going. That's what TikTok's like. Every 15th one will be like, they take 2 seconds to watch. So you're scrolling through, you get to one that's actually pretty funny. You're like, well, maybe this will happen again. Like you just keep going, and before you know it, it's 4 a.m. and it's light out, or it's 5 a.m. and it's light out. It's just bad. It's bad scene.
I go down that YouTube hole.
Yeah.
And I'll find somebody's channel. There's a funny mortician online.
Funny mortician.
She's funny. It's
really? What does she do?
It's the death,
like puppet shows with
death talk. No, she answers all the questions you'd ever have about death, about cremation, and how you make a nose sit right and all things. And she's funny. Let me see. I'll find out what.
Put that in there.
Allie's had some hilarious shit on her.
Allie got funny videos.
God damn it, you're cracking me up.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
I'm looking at all sorts of death videos.
I think
it's just her murdering all the comics.
Allie gets like, people send comments in, and she just was like, "You're a fucking idiot. I love you."
But
all the stories are like, "Oh, I want to bang my sister's husband," and you're like,
do it.
Go for it. We're all gonna die anyway.
What does it matter? I hate that listen, I don't think you should fuck a sibling. I hate to bring this up again. I don't think you should fuck a sibling.
Wait, again?
This is like a constant thing that comes up on my Instagram with like fucking your relatives.
That's weird.
I don't think you should fuck a sibling. If you happen to fall in love with your cousin, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world.
But okay, so if you don't think it's the worst thing in the world, but do you think you should take action upon that? Like if it's your first cousin?
If it's your first cousin and you're both really into each other, it's probably fine.
Allie, are you in love with Allie wants to fuck her cousin.
No, I don't get why it's such a huge deal. Like people did it for years and years. I'm not saying go out of your way.
Yeah, that's how Trump got elected.
But if it happens, it happens. Like
it's because
if it's love,
get a kid with 3 heads. That's the only reason.
So what about kids? Allie, no kids, but just straight fucking is okay.
Yeah, if you use birth control, I say go for it.
It's just like everyone. I guarantee you each know someone who's fucked their cousin.
I feel like your first cousin is you didn't.
I don't
want to
know. I don't want to know though. I don't want to know which one it is.
I think a distant cousin. That's like
yeah, distant cousin. I'm sure that's happened a bunch of times.
First cousin's too close.
Yeah, that's close.
That's too close. That's at the cookout.
No, totally.
You know what I mean? Like y'all probably spend Christmas together and shit. You've been plotting. That's weird. That's
you gotta tell us. Have you fucked your cousin, Allie?
I've never fucked a cousin, but I've never fucked a cousin. I've never desired to fuck a cousin. I know a bunch of people who have fucked their cousins, and like I'm not like you're insane. I'm just like I get it. I guess I don't know.
Was it like a revenge thing against like one of the parents, or was it just?
No,
like
it's just like
you're hot.
It's that first.
How do you know, Sean? She knows.
I'm just saying who
people.
Yeah, Sean. Sean's like no.
You're just mad at me because I ate outside at a restaurant. And I got mad at your potatoes.
It's that first pool of people you're introduced to, and you kind of have feelings, and you're like, oh, my cousin, right?
I see what you're saying, but I think if it's your first cousin, like the first cousin thing is like, especially if you don't know them and then you like know that you didn't really hang out when you were younger and then that happens, I would understand that more than if you're really close. Like I have a fake cousin, a family that my family's friends.
Cousin is good.
But
you can fuck a fake cousin.
No, totally.
Not.
But
okay.
What I'm saying is, what I'm saying is, we were so close as kids. I don't want to. I have that feeling of like, like family as kids. So you're that family vibe.
No,
but if it's somebody,
you can't have the sibling vibe. Wait, I just want to say one thing about TikTok really quickly. And maybe it's because I've been watching a lot of this Filthy Rich Jeffrey Epstein doc on Netflix.
Oh, I watched it.
I think that TikTok is like a hotbed for pedophilia.
Yeah.
It's like all of these 14-year-old girls, and then you got Sean scrolling till 4 a.m. and it's not good.
I thought that was clear. That's why I'm on it. Did I not tell you that?
I messaged and middle school cheerleaders.
I'm making my shitty potatoes, and I keep scrolling through TikTok. No, but you're right, and it's really that's the only reason. That's what gets me to be like, okay, I should not be doing this. I should not be on this. Like you're absolutely right. There's a weird thing of these like 12-year-old girls dancing, and that's strange.
And they look like 25, and I'm like,
yeah, it's weird. It's really weird.
I'm like, don't like anything.
Also, they thought they were going to ban it because they thought it was a spy mechanism for China. They thought it was a
yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, like there was a statement. It was really weird because what was it, a week ago, Damien? Amazon put out a statement saying we're telling all of our employees to take TikTok off their phones, and that made me go, "Oh, they know something the rest of the world doesn't."
Right.
Sure. When you're messing with money like that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what else is weird about TikTok that I noticed is that shit could be as long as. However, like Vine used to be X amount of seconds. Instagram, I feel like sometimes I see a short TikTok video. Then I see a video that feels like it's like 15 minutes long and it's still TikTok. What's that about?
I think they have a limit, but they're longer than the Vines. The Vines,
it's just a minute.
Vine was 7 seconds, wasn't
it? Minute's the longest on TikTok. I think.
That's what happened to my attention span. I can't go longer.
You're like, God, this is an hour.
Irishman? This is ridiculous. The fuck? 3 minutes.
He's like, how long are these little girls gonna dance?
Jeez. Like, I just watched season 2 of Sopranos on TikTok. I went back and watched The Wire start to finish. Man, what an unbelievable show. God damn it, that show's incredible. It's so fun to go back to watch a show that was that like it was made before the technology that we have. And you realize that the entire premise of the show would be fucking thrown out of the writer's room because they'd be like, oh, you could just GPS that shit. Or you could just
No, but I think it still holds up. Like they still,
of course. I just said it was amazing. Not like your potatoes.
To me, no, I'm saying like Seinfeld had that. Where they had the whole article of like so sensitive. They had the whole article of where they were like, how many Seinfeld plots could have been solved by cell phones? Like the Chinese restaurant. Yeah, they had the Chinese restaurant episode of Seinfeld would have been over in 3 minutes. Like it would have just been
absolutely.
Let's call her on a cell phone or text them, whatever it is. But Seinfeld still holds up because whatever. I think they tried to make most of them evergreen. But when it comes to The Wire, I think it's definitely as dated as far as they have like pay phones in it and all that kind of stuff.
They had to wait to get like one computer. in their like makeshift, like God, that show's just incredible. The acting is
holds
unreal.
up is everything that's going on with the structure of the police department and the criticism of it in the show holds up even better now. Like what's going on now, it really shines a light on it. And they're pretty spot on. Like that, I don't think he has a podcast, David Simon, but I wish he did. The guy's brilliant. His whole thing is how shitty the war on drugs was and how it ruined policing. That's his point.
Baltimore being a microcosm for the whole country. And it's so funny when you see the cops would go, this guy's good police to each other, meaning like, this guy's and even someone that you could trust. And
right. And what they meant, but they didn't always mean, I think there was some shadiness involved in that too.
Of course.
I mean,
not going to tell.
Right, exactly. That's what I mean. Like you can trust
exactly.
this guy. Yeah.
And the acting in it is like, oh my God. My goal is to just meet every cast member of The Wire.
I know. I mean, Omar's just like one of the most dynamic. Everybody, Bunk, McNulty, it was just such a good show to watch start to finish again.
I'm gonna have to start it. I've never seen it.
Oh, Rick, it's unreal.
It's so good.
I've never seen it either.
Oh, watch it. It's one of those things where I don't think you can hype it up. Some shows you hype them up and people go, it was whatever.
Sean, I think on your podcast we did this. Rolling Stone guys put out a thing of like the top 100 TV shows of all time, and it was a fucked up list. There were tons of holes in it, but always 1 and 2 for TV shows. It's Breaking always Bad The Wire, and Sopranos.
Yeah.
And then there's like what's the other one?
Love and Hip Hop.
Love and Hip Hop. Yes,
Love and Hip Hop's in there. Yep.
Meet the Deedles. Oh, that's a movie. Never mind.
But yeah, there's a couple. Like it's an amazing show about like just the cops and politics and corruption. But it moves fast and it's wild.
Well, the interesting part
the
is
writing's incredible.
The two guys who created it was Ed Burns and David Simon and maybe Tom Fontana wasn't involved in it, but they both between the both of them they all were most of the jobs that are explored on the show. So they were school teachers, they were journalists, they were cops, they were reporters. Every section, except for maybe season 2 with the dock workers, every section of the show, they had firsthand experience. And I think that's why it rings so true. And oh my God, I cannot pump up The Wire. And it's such a good show. It's insane. And that's why people say that documentary, The 13th. Have you guys watched that? I haven't watched that yet.
Yeah, I seen it.
I think it's along the same lines. It talks about the same thing, right? Doesn't it talk about?
No, the 13th is about the 13th Amendment.
But they talk about policing, do they not? They talk about what it turned into after slavery.
Kinda. I mean, police is always going to be in the black story.
Right.
But I think it's more. It don't have anything to do with like The Wire. Like The Wire is more about heroin in Baltimore.
No, totally.
It's more about the 13th Amendment and. Staying out of jail and you know what I mean? Shit like that. Like it's a different type of thing.
Okay. So what I meant was like the critique on policing is the same critique and like post-slavery. Like they say, like they talk in a lot of these things about how
that it derives from slavery.
Yeah, exactly.
Police.
That's what I meant.
Yeah,
That's what I mean.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And they just go into more depth,
Did you ever see that documentary, The 6'5"?
No, 7'5".
7'5".
Yeah.
7'5".
It's fucking crazy.
Rick Alley, have you ever seen those? It's about the 75th precinct in Brooklyn.
In East New York.
It's insane.
It is crazy. Just
it's
about
wild.
Like the corruption.
Yeah. I tweeted about it because it was about, corrupt cops from East New York. And as soon as I tweeted it, the cop that's the whole shit is about started following me on Twitter. I was like, oh shit, this ain't.
Oh my God.
Oh no,
this ain't good. Shit.
And then he's like,
he was like, did you like it?
Serpico, Rick,
or Prince of the City? Was it
King of New York?
Yeah, was it that corruption or this was after it?
This is before. This was like in the 90s,
late 80s, early 90s. Yeah, and it was
90s.
And it's
It'd be
all
funny
about, if they had the whole. It was just about like the blue blood, like if you're a cop brother, then you don't rat out and whatever, and all the people who. Once the shit did hit the fan, they were like, "Oh my God, I had no idea about any of that." And it's like, "Fuck you! You're the guy's wife. You're wearing a new fur coat every week." Like,
there's a lot of blissful ignorance involved in that. You're making money. Totally. You're just gonna be.
That's a perfect word for it.
I've never heard of such a thing.
It'd be so funny if the cop that followed Damien, if he wrote him back, and he's like, "Hey, I watched your," and he's like, "No, I'm just a really big fan of Comedy Knockout. I figured I'd follow you." Love that shit.
That's what he told me. He was like, "Yo, what happened? Is it still on?" On demand.
Yeah, but all that stuff, I think I was almost I told you, I haven't told all of you this. I wasn't almost a cop. I shouldn't put it that way. I took all the tests to be a cop, and then I failed the obstacle course.
Right. Oh shit! You got far.
That's real.
Yes, it's 100% real. And well, in actuality, it's something I was doing it because my dad was a cop and my dad passed away. And I think I had it in my head that I have to be a cop, but I'm not cut out for that. But put it this way. One of my favorite stories from it is they have the psychological test, and I showed up to the psychological. I didn't know how to tie a tie, and I showed up with my tie untied. And I told the guy, at the test, one of the cops, I go, "Hey, can you tie my tie?" And he goes, "Let me guess, your dad was a cop." And I went, "Yeah, how'd you know that?" And the reason he knew is because he's like, "Because you're a schmuck. Why wouldn't you show up with your tie? Like a guy really wanted this would show up with his tie. But in my head, I'm like, I must come off like a cop, like whatever it is." So there was that. And then there was I passed every test, and then I had the obstacle course, and I was really nervous because you're in front of, it's like gym class. And I did not like gym class.
That's crazy.
And you're in front of everybody. It's like every douchebag from your high school online waiting to take this obstacle course. And I was really nervous. I'm raring to go. I'm kind of half shaking. And then out of nowhere, the guy goes, "Go." And the first obstacle is just a 4-foot fence. It's not that hard. And I run up to the fence. I try to get over it. I get nervous. I hop down, and I walk to my car, and I drove home.
You are a legacy.
Oh,
you got in your car and ran into the fence.
I was at a high school in Staten Island. I had my dad's Buick LeSabre. It was this giant 1991 Buick LeSabre, and I didn't even check out. I didn't even tell the guy, "Hey, I'm at it." I just walked out of the building. And I had all the guys. You could feel the guys looking at me as I'm walking out. It was like really embarrassing. Really.
Are you supposed to scale the fence?
You're supposed to just climb over the fence and then do the next obstacle and run around. It's not that bad. But I was like, I ran up to it, tried to get over it, and I went down. I could have kept trying. I just freaked out. I absolutely freaked out.
He was like, "Fuck it, that kid ain't guilty."
I could have, yeah.
We'll get him next time.
We'll figure it out. Yeah, we'll meet him at home. Don't worry about it.
I took a cop test.
Oh.
I took a cop test just because I was living with my sister and my brother-in-law out in Nassau County, and it was the Suffolk County cops. It was like that shit make $86,000 top
pay.
They do.
They start there.
Something ridiculous. So I was just to stay in the crib. I took the test, but I abacadabbed the shit. I didn't like. I was trying to be a comedian, and I was fucked up. So yeah, I was never trying to be a cop. That wasn't the thing.
Suffolk County cops, I think they're the second highest paid cops in the country because
that's what I hear.
Because of the Hamptons.
That's what I hear.
Yeah.
Do they require like a college degree or anything like that, or is it?
Some places do. I don't know if they do. I think maybe an associate's. I think I have to have an associate.
What was I just saying? In some of these like in Germany and in some of those countries, the police have got to have like a 3-year degree just in policing plus a college degree. I mean, they really want you to be a professional there.
Yeah,
they don't do that here. It's just like you get out of high school without killing.
Yeah. It's a really it attracts. There's a type of personality that it attracts. That not everybody, but it attracts some people that are just want the how many guys have you met that are like angry guys that are either affiliated with that job or in that? It happens. It does happen. It happens.
Yeah. You've seen comedians who just want the microphone.
Well, and also there's like
people
you went to high school, people you went to school with, and then you go, "What's that guy doing now?" And you go, "He's a cop," and it's like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like there's definitely those.
I knew it the whole time. I had no direction. I wanted to do comedy, but I didn't have the guts to do it yet. I didn't start comedy until I was 28.
Right.
And I'm curious. I want to hear everybody's story about how they got into it. Because you ever find this, that your story might not be as romantic getting into comedy as people want when they ask you how you got into it? Because mine was just because I was so nervous to do it. I didn't do it for the longest time. Then I went to an open mic and I was like, oh, it was so bad that I was like, oh, I could be that bad. Like I was like, oh, I could do that. But every time I tell that story, I feel like I'm breaking people's heart because I'm like, it's not some magical. Maybe like, well, it was 2 a.m. and I had a couple of brandies and I went up and I told the best story in the world. Like it's not, that's not the story. Right. It's not some magical thing. how did you all get into it? And then we got to wrap things up in just in a couple minutes.
So long.
Allison, how'd you get?
Mine, I think, is kind of magical. I always wanted to do it, and I did it. I started like when I was 17. Like, it's
oh
not
my
good.
God,
Wow.
you're like Pete Davidson.
Atrocious.
What about you, Damien?
I started at 27.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't. Yeah, it took me a minute to get the nerve up and shit like that, and then I finally went to an open mic at Sal's Comedy Hole down the block from the Cellar.
Nice. Mine was at a place called Maui Taco.
Oh, I did that, Mike. Yeah.
I was at a taco place, basement of a taco place, and you were performing in front of a VW bus, a fake one coming out of the wall, and you were on the stage was just milk crates with a blanket over it, and you stood on the milk crates. Do you remember that?
I forgot all that. I just know it was downstairs at the taco spot. I don't remember all of the VW crate and all. I mean, all of that.
And there was people eating tacos while in bright neon lights while watching you, like whatever the lights in the restaurant were. There was not zero ambiance. Put it that way. What about you, Michael?
I started at 29, and I hated working. I had jobs like wear a suit, go to an office thing, and I was like, this can't be life. Like, there's no way that I can do this forever, you know?
Yeah.
And I did one of the new talent nights at Caroline's.
That was my first show.
And it was one of those bring 15 of your friends, you know?
Oh yeah. Was
so
it
I had
Andy Angle? That guy?
Linda Smith.
Oh, okay.
No, Linda was the teacher, but Andy was the booker.
Right.
Andy was Gotham, right?
But he did Caroline's too back then.
I don't remember. First. But anyway, I had my friends there, and I just told real jokes about a breakup I just had, broke off an engagement, and I made fun of her and whatever, and felt good. And people laughed, and I was like, comedy's a piece of cake. And then I went and did those 5 minutes at an open mic on St. Mark's 2 nights later, and fucking crickets. People were pointing and laughing. And I was like, oh, this is comedy. So it was there was that fake gratuitous good set in the beginning just because my friends were there and they were more nervously laughing, but it was still laughter. And then I went and actually had to do a real set in front of comics that were hurry up and get the fuck off so I can get to the next one.
Right.
And I was like
a real open mic.
This is comedy. And I fell in love with the whole, I feel like the whole world was unraveled into a new map of New York. How do I get to this place from that place? How do I get from that place to this place? Can I get to here by there? And it was so, I don't know, just everything changed. Life
what about Rick? What about Rick Crom?
I was born on the stage of the Comedy Cellar. No,
I'm guessing I was going to say vaudeville, but I wasn't sure if that was.
Damn.
Come on, take it a shot.
He was like, "Welcome to Earth. I'm Rick Crom."
I knew I wanted to be an entertainer, comedian, like a variety since I was 10 years old. So I was kind of a theater kid. So when I was 20 years old, I put together a little act. I had a guitar. I did impressions. I was terrible, but I mean, I was a great performer, but the jokes were fucking awful. And I auditioned at this place in Chicago called Kolbert's Comedy Cove. And it was
Kolbert.
with 3 Ks. Isn't that funny?
Oh, wow.
Uh-oh. They're probably closed.
Sure that was an open mic, Rick?
They called it a rally back then.
Right.
It was an open mic / audition, and I did well enough so that they would let me work during the week. And then within about 6 months, I was doing their weekend shows. So
That's pretty great.
I had something, And then the improv group Chicago, this was 1979. I was 20 years old. And then the improv group Chicago City Limits, I would play music behind them for their improvs and stuff. And they said, hey, we're going to New York to try our hand there. You want to come? And I did. I came.
Oh, nice.
We knocked around for a few years. And then in 1984, they needed a sidekick piano player for the MC, Bill Grunfest. And I took that role. And that was my entry into comedy. So
that's so appropriate.
I skipped a lot of steps there, but it really depends.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have done it if you couldn't do it.
Another. One thing leads to another. So just start somewhere. Start somewhere, and it'll lead you to where you.
Perhaps start with Rick Crom's comedy class.
Yes.
Right. Hey, I'm enrolling now for September.
Yeah, check it out. Well, that's what I wanted to get to. Thank you guys for doing this. The Cellar Nightly. This was so much fun.
Yeah.
Really, we have to wrap it up, but really quickly, let's go around the horn and do plugs. We'll start once again. Allie, real quick, what do you got there?
I'm at Ali Kolbert everywhere. ALI Kolbert with a K.
Perfect. Big Damien.
D Lemon Comedy everywhere. That's it. Shout out to Harriet Tubman.
Yes, 20. They should, but they were going to do that, and then they fucked it up. Mike Finoia. Let's hear it.
At Mike Finoia, Finoia, and Amigos podcast.
Awesome. And Mr. Rick.
All I have, go to the Comedy Cellar website, hit classes. It tells you all about what I'm doing now and how to get in. So, and
awesome.
I'm on all sorts of reruns of Chappelle Show.
Awesome. And I am, people are probably watching them now because of quarantine. I am at Shawnee Time on Instagram and Twitter, and listen to my UFO podcast. It's called Skylight. You can find it on Stitcher and iTunes and all that jazz. Thanks to Mike for doing the producing over here. And guys, we'll see you next time. We'll see you tomorrow night on